Hey everyone, it's Carrie and welcome back to another video. This week's video, we're going to be doing my weekly recap on what I have made over this past week. I was trying to get this video done a little bit sooner, but then I had the opportunity, or I should say, back in, I think, January or late December, I got tickets to go see Hamilton. So I ended up taking most of the day, as much as I can, off to go see Hamilton for a few hours, and I just didn't have time to record. I basically crashed when I got home. It was really good, but it was a lot to do the trip down and then doing my barn at the same time. It was just crazy. But I'm so excited that I was able to go. It was a great show and I am looking forward to going to some more musicals. If you don't know, I'm a pretty big musical fan. I would say that maybe in another life where I'm not doing what I'm currently doing right now in my current life, I would like to believe that maybe I could have done that. Maybe if I had spent a little bit more time getting over my stage fright and stuff, I might have been able to do musicals, but that is not my life anymore. It's really fun to go and see it, and I'm really hoping to be able to get tickets to see the Book of Mormon. I really badly want to go to Six. Six is my favorite musical. The tickets sold out immediately. I think right now I saw some for sale, but they are like $600 per ticket. I actually have my big market that weekend. Sadly, it will probably not be happening. This video, we're gonna go over my weekly recap. The lighting's a little weird today. It's cloudy and not cloudy and then cloudy, so I apologize for that, but I know you guys are here to see all the crochet stuffies, so we're gonna go over that. This week was a very, I guess I would say, productive week, but also a week where I did a ton of big items. I mean, even currently going into this week, I have been doing a lot of bigger items and a lot of items that require a lot more sewing. Recently, over the past couple months, I've been really focusing more on smaller items and everything, but I do have the tendency to prefer making larger items that do require more sewing and more intricate details. It's just not always the most market friendly. I decided to give myself a break and kind of do things that I wanted to do this week. I'm happy with the amount I got done, but it's definitely not the same as if I was just cranking out a ton of small patterns and just building up my inventory. So just keep that in mind when you see what I've made. We're gonna start with the small items and then from there work ourselves up to the larger items. So the first thing I have again is just this little yellow bunny. This is a continuation of some of the things that I ended up making last week. I ended up making a little yellow one. I'm not really focusing too much on bunnies, but you're gonna see that I did make quite a few this week just because I don't really like to make spring or holiday oriented items. After last year making Christmas items and Halloween items and not really selling them, don't really feel the biggest attachment or biggest need to make themed items, because if you don't sell them and they're specifically themed, then you're kind of stuck with them for a really long time where no one's gonna buy them. So I just made this generic little bunny in the yellow. Like I said, I made gray ones last week. This was just a continuation of basically what I had made that Thursday or Friday, but hadn't finished sewing. So I finished this one. I have 1, 2, and then this third one of these little dogs. The only thing I have to add is I just need to do the nose, but they are basically all done, sewn and everything. I think I had these with me last year and I sold quite a few, but I'm mainly just gonna focus on 1 or 2 colors because it was hard to sell certain colors. I think the mustard ones, these guys sold the best compared to my really dark brown ones. And of course, like I've said before, since Sweet Snuggles doesn't really have a nice brown or anything, I always try and factor that in when deciding, because I have said this many times, I do not like brunette and I am not the biggest fan of Premier. I do try to create items that I can use the yarn that I prefer, and so I just have these guys since the mustard is what we've got. These are new items and I ended up deciding to make them because my mother had gone to the store and was like, oh my god, look at these things, they're so cute. And I was like, okay, I'll try it and everything. And I think I'm just gonna bring 2. I might make a third one, but I feel 2 is a good number coming into the March market to kind of gauge how they will sell, because I've never made anything like this before. So I have 2 little hedgehogs. I've got one that's in mustard and then one in this gray. I didn't use my bright white. I used the, I want to say they call it winter white or something from Sweet Snuggles. So it's a little bit more of a cream, which I think looks better. A lot of my things that I made in this video are a little bit more of what I would say like neutral tones, opposed to last week I had a lot more bright, vibrant colors. This week it definitely tends to be a little bit more neutral, but I have these two guys. This is my first time making the pattern. It wasn't extremely hard, as it just took a lot of my mental like focus. If you guys don't know, I have become such a big K-drama person. I thought it was hard in the beginning to crochet while reading subtitles. I no longer have the problem. I have watched so many K-dramas recently, but I will say that this has been like the only pattern that I've actually had to like stop listening to anything, reading anything, watching anything to just like focus on the pattern because of all of the back loop only stuff. But it ended up turning out cute. Like I said, I have these two, and then I'm gonna decide like, do I wanna make another one? Do I not? And then of course pricing, because it did take a little bit longer because it does take time to build up all of these stitches on the back. So I have two hedgehogs. Previously I had made a capybara, and I have my capybara still in my closet that I need to finish up just for this first market and everything. But I wanted to find a pattern that had capybaras that were smaller and wouldn't require as much time. So I was able to find this pattern for these capybaras. They are a decent enough size that I think you could sell them for like $12 or something. They really don't take that long to make. I just had to learn how to stuff them properly because they don't always want to stand. So I do think that's the one downfall in this pattern, is they will get top heavy. I made a few until I ran out of the yarn, because I don't really keep this color yarn, the base color of the body. I don't buy a lot of it, but I made 4 of them, so I mean, it's a good enough start for this first market. I think it'll be fine. And then definitely for my one in April, I will be making a lot more capybaras because I know I have been asked about them last year. But it's a super quick no-sew pattern. It was very easy to do, so I can't complain. But I made 4. In last week's video, I made my first butterfly, and I had discussed about if I was gonna make any more butterflies. I'm still iffy if I'm gonna make a third one, but I decided to do a second one. So I have this butterfly in this pink and everything. So if you didn't know, I think Sweet Snuggles considers this bear pink. It's a very light pink, but I did it with the white wings and everything. And then I did end up deciding to put glitter eyes on it because it's a little larger, but I have this one, and like I said, I'm undecided if I'm gonna be making a third one, mainly just because I really don't know what color to make it. Maybe like a blue or a green would be nice. I don't know, because I have purple and then pink. I am undecided if I'll make another one, and I guess if you guys have any recommendations, like should I do a blue, a green, yellow? I don't. I don't really know what color to do, but I have this one, so now at least I will be happy in the regard that I have 2 butterflies and not a single, because I always have to have pairs. Moving on to the last little bit of larger patterns that I did make this week. I decided to bulk make these patterns so I would just be done with them. I actually do think I need to make one more bunny just to like have 3 if I decide to do that, but if not, I have my pair covered, so I'm pretty good and happy there. But these are all made by Crochet Grove, and we will start with whatever I grab first, starting with ducks. So I have this duck first. I did this one in the winter white. You'll notice Sweet Snuggles Light doesn't have a orange, but I ended up using this kind of almost coral color, which I think ended up working all right given the color schemes, just because they're a little bit more pastel dilute. So I think it ended up working good, and the main reason why I didn't really use the Premier Parfait that I have that is orange is because it is a considerably thinner yarn to Sweet Snuggles Light. It's a 6 according to Premier. It's not a 6, it's like a 5. Because of that, when it's a large centerpiece like this or something noticeable, I don't typically like to interchange the 2 yarns because there will be a considerable noticeable difference. So I just kept it the same and used this coral color, but I think it ended up coming out fine since the colors are pretty dilute on most of these. But I have this duck as the first one. I have this duck as the second one, and this was actually leftover of the same color from a different skein that actually was considerably more orange, and I had made a dinosaur out of it but didn't have enough to complete the dinosaur with all the parts, so I ended up frogging it and then using the yarn for this because it is much more orange and a much brighter color compared to the duck I just showed you guys, which is the exact same color. That is one of the reasons why I do primarily purchase so much of my yarn in bulk now in 12 packs, because of the fact that I get so worried that the colors are not going to be the same in the dye lot. So if you do bulk buy and buy from the same dye lot, you don't have to worry about that. So if you ever wonder why I tend to buy my yarn in much larger bulks, that is why. It just takes away the stress, and pretty much I know I'm gonna be using the yarn at some point. It's just a question of when. That is one of my things that I didn't realize when I started out crocheting, is dye lot is important, and you don't want to get stuck halfway through a project and have completely different color yarn like I did. But luckily I was able to just frog it and then repurpose it. So I have this yellow one, and then the last one I made was the mallard version. I basically made 3. White one, they didn't have the color written down or whatever, but it's easy enough, just change out the colors. I mean, it's just common sense, I guess, to do it. But I ended up making the mallard one as well, and just made it in the Sweet Snuggles version, which has this green. Is from Chanel Home Slim, so I'm trying to remember what color it is. It might be like something with an A, I believe, but it ends up working out pretty well for the mallards and is usually the color I end up deciding to use. But I have this one, and so I have 3 ducks in total. Moving on to the last thing that I ended up making this week, I have the 2 bunnies from the Crochet Grove pattern as well. I ended up just buying it in a bundle because it was cheaper. So I've ended up making 2 of them, and like I said, I'm still undecided if I will end up making a 3rd one. I don't think it's a deal breaker if I don't make a 3rd one, but I think that it could be a good thing to have, especially if I go to the April market and don't sell any of these, because they are pretty cute in my opinion. So I have this gray one that I did the egg and everything in the Sweet Snuggles speckled, or what, I don't even know what they call it, but the one that's multicolored pink. So I did that and did this one. Both my bunnies I did upright ears because I personally believe they look a lot better, but there's a lot of ways to do this pattern no-sew. I actually didn't think about it when I was doing it. I crocheted the arms into the body and then was like, I actually want to sew the arms to the thing, and it ended up working out fine. So the second one I did the same thing, and then I just came back in and with my yarn tails sewed the arms right here to the body. It took away some of the sewing aspect. I mean, I knew my arm placement was like perfect because they were already crocheted into the body. It was just me coming back and like sewing it a little bit closed. So I did that, and I think it worked out well. But I did the no-sew version for the feet. I have this one, and then I also made this one in the, like I said, I think it's like winter white or winter something for the Sweet Snuggles. So it is more of a cream than it is a bright white, which I think actually worked out pretty well because it gives it a softer look. But I have this one holding a carrot, and because this is not a piece that is comparable to the body in terms of like feet or arms, I did use Premier so it would have more of the carrot color. So guys, it's pretty much everything that I made this past week. Like I said, I did a lot more larger items than I originally intended to do. All in all, I'm happy with everything I got done. This next couple week is gonna be a little bit crazy, so I'm uncertain how much I'm gonna be crocheting because I'm actually gonna be going to a horse show and horse showing. We'll see how that goes. But I hope you guys have an amazing rest of the day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!